and welcome back to the Perceptionist Playbook podcast. Woo, 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 woo. So, as you know, we've already had a few episodes out. So if you're a new listener, please go ahead and check out my trailer episode and my first few episodes. So today's episode is going to be all about frequently asked questions. So if you're new here, my name is Abisola and I am a UX UI designer. My official job title is a senior UI designer. And so although despite my title being senior, I'm pretty new to the industry. Like I've only been around for about 3 years. But I've been doing like digital design and visual design and stuff like that in digital marketing for a few more years than that. So yeah, there's also that background of being a digital marketer. But yeah, I get DMs all the time. And if you've watched my first episode, you know that people constantly asking me questions is a huge driving force for this podcast. I think I really enjoy mentoring. I enjoy helping other people. I love it when people ask me questions. I always encourage them to feel free to ask as many questions as you may think of. And if I didn't answer your question fully, let me know so that I can go back into my, into my bag and pull out a better answer for you, girl or boys. But yeah, I genuinely love getting DMs about questions, about my journey, about my role, everything. And I'm always happy to answer questions. And anyone that has DM'd me before, I will give you the longest answer. If it takes me 20 minutes to get that answer to you, I will take the 20 minutes and I will record a 20-minute long voice note, and I will send it to you. Because at the end of the day, like, I really would appreciate if, I'm going to someone, it's already nerve-wracking asking someone a question that you don't know because you feel like, oh, are they going to think you're a bit weird? Are they going to just, be receptive? You don't really know like how things could go, but I try to make sure that my answer encourages them to come back for more. And even if they don't need any more help or support, like I want them to go away from the interaction feeling like she cared enough to answer, but answer in detail. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm really invested in seeing this industry, the tech industry specifically, boom with black, brown, all sorts of people, but a more diverse mix of people. Especially if you are a black woman, girl, I'm rooting hard for you, because I just feel like being a black woman and not being able to see myself in the workplace ever. I've only really had 2 jobs in UX UI, but I've only really ever worked with one other black woman, and she was an intern. Shout outs to her. She was really lovely, and it was such an enjoyable experience working with her that I was just like, no, I need more, because I don't want to be in an industry where I'm always the token black girl or the only black girl, and I feel like there's room for everybody in this industry. There's no need for me to, coddle the role that I am in and, not answer questions in good enough detail just because I feel like, I don't want someone to come and take my place. No, not only do I want you to take my place, I want you to go higher. I want you to be above me. Come and be my CEO. Like, I would love that. So yeah, I definitely love answering your questions in full detail. Sorry, I just got distracted there. But I love answering your questions in full detail. So just keep them coming. I encourage you to ask some more. So today I'm going to delve deeper into the frequently asked questions that I have been asked across all of my platforms about tech, UX, UI, my journey, all of those type of things. So yeah, I'll probably go off topic and go off track a few times during this episode, but just stay with me, guys. Stay with me. So the first question is, do I have advice for getting into UX UI design? So this is a really interesting one, because I am actually going to do a full episode on this topic alone, because it's definitely got a lot of levels to it. And it's definitely a conversation that needs to be like 20 minutes long, not just a quick little answer in this episode. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you're following, liking and subscribing to my page, my podcast on Spotify, YouTube and all podcast streaming platforms, so that you're aware of when that episode drops. But yeah, Any advice? I have a lot of advice for people who are just getting into the industry. First of all, I would say definitely have your why. And that is a pretty generic response, but sit down with yourself and get a reason why. Create a reason, or figure out the reason, which is a better word. Figure out the reason why you want to be here in the first place. The reason why you feel like you want to be a UX UI designer. Because for me, if you've listened to my previous episodes, you would know that I became a UX UI designer because I felt like I was a UX UI designer, but in my day-to-day, in my personal life. And I felt like if I could describe myself in a role, it would be a UX UI designer. I felt like we had, if I was looking at UX UI design the industry as a persona or as a person, which is something we do in this club, as a person or persona, I would definitely say that they would look a little bit like me, because I have the interests that are covered within this industry. I love psychology. I love designing. I love, the idea of being inclusive with accessibility standards and, being conscious of people that are neurodivergent and stuff like this. So it was just very interesting to me. And so I'd say, number one, figure out your reason why. Your reasoning is so important, because through the ups and the downs, it's going to really keep you going. And I feel like a lot of us have a similar story of, you kind of go through the motions of the standard plan that the government or whoever has put in place for your life, about going to nursery, going to primary school, going to secondary school, and whatever you do, on so on and so forth. And for a lot of people, you can kind of feel like your life has been planned out for you, and you just got to find whatever job you can get your hands on, just get your hands on it and just work until you get old and grey. And that shouldn't necessarily be the case. I personally feel like if you love what you do, and we've heard this all before, if you love what you do, it will make your job 10 times easier. Okay? I'm not saying it's going to be easy or stress-free. Oh, definitely not. I'll tell you that for free. But it will definitely make life a lot more enjoyable, because even through the stress, I'm like, I love it here. I really do love it here. So I'm happy to be stressed out and all this stuff, because I'm just like, this is what I signed up for, and this is the type of stress that, I'm happy to sign up for. So yeah, that would be my first thing. Make sure you have a good reason, and make sure your reason is rooted within you, and within every step of the process. The second thing I'd say is do your research. So listening to this podcast, for example, is a great way to do your research. Finding people who ideally look like you, but if not, that's fine. But finding people who are existing in the industry and asking them questions. Do your research. Google, YouTube, all of these platforms. YouTube is literally known as the free university, because it is, just got so much information on that platform. TikTok is a great one as well. Basically, TikTok is a search engine now. So I would definitely recommend TikTok for doing your research as well, and just finding out as much information as you can about the industry before you get into the industry. Because what it's going to do is it's going to help you to create a realistic picture in your brain of what this life is going to look like for you. Because all you can really do is be like, oh, I could potentially be interested in it, or oh, this seems like something that I would enjoy based on my interests and my my life trajectory or my life in general. But you need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning potentially, I'm going to go to work potentially, in the office potentially, and then I'm going to have meetings with scrum masters potentially, I'm going to have meetings with project managers and account managers, and then I'm going to have client meetings, and then I'm going to create user personas, and then I'm going to have to work with tight deadlines. And you can kind of create a picture in your mind as to what your life as a UX UI designer or a product designer or a designer in general could be. And that really, really helps. Again, keep you going, keep you motivated. And it also helps to make sure that you're getting into it for the right reasons, and that, you see the longevity of it. I'm quite a forward thinker, so I always endorse being a forward thinker and forward thinking. I just feel like it's just a basic human skill that not enough people exercise. So yeah, I'll just definitely, whatever involves forward thinking, let that be part of your research process. Any other advice for getting into UX UI? Join a community. Oh my goodness, that is my biggest. After the first two pieces of advice, this one, join a community, guys. Join a community. Because I felt like I started shouting at you guys there. But please join a community or communities. For example, Black Girls in Tech. For example, Shuntos. For example, Love Circular. For example, who else is off the top of my head? I cannot even remember. But there's so many UX UI or tech or whatever, type of job role you're looking for. There's all types of communities that exist currently that offer these things. There's all sorts of influencers who have curated communities with their followers. And so I would say just get onto Instagram, type in UX UI design, click on the pages that come up, check out their bio, check out the first 3-4 posts on their page, make sure they align with your interests and your identity, because sometimes there's a lot of communities that are tailored to your race, your ethnicity, your religion, for example. So make sure it tailors to who you are as an individual, and then follow these pages. And don't only follow the pages, but engage in the comment section, engage with other people who are following the pages, engage as well. And kind of like branching off of the community piece of advice that I would give, I would definitely say you need to go to tech events. It's not an option. You need to be there. If I'm not seeing you there, you're not serious. I'm joking, guys. But for real, you need to go to tech events. You need to go to the networking events that are long, boring, potentially, tiring, nerve-wracking. Again, shout outs to Black Girls in Tech. They have kind of mastered the art of having tech events that are not boring, that are exciting, interesting, almost like a good time, a night out with the girls. So I definitely recommend you find pages or find people that offer events that are interesting to you. Coding Black Females, for example, they offer some lovely events. I've been to a few of their events and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm not a coder, I don't code, but they have actually been beneficial for anybody who's even interested, even if you're just interested in joining the tech community, that they have events for you as well. So yeah, so many platforms. I'll definitely, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, I'll link them in the description bar, a few communities that I would recommend. If you're on Instagram, I'll definitely have a post and check my followings as well. There are loads of communities that you can be part of, but yeah, that would be my other piece of advice. And I know events can be quite scary. I go to all of them by myself, and I do have friends that are in tech. Shout out to my friends that are in tech too. But I just find that it's a nice challenge and it's a great way to get out of your shell. And you just make sure that you are there for the right reasons. Because if you're going to these events with friends and all you do is talk to your friends the whole time, I just feel like you're not really getting the most value out of the event. The reason why these events are put together is for you to meet people like you. It's for you to be part of communities that are like you or that support your vision or your ideals of life. It's really important that you just, hey girl, I came by myself, it's nice to meet you, my name is Abisola, I'm a UX UI designer. Just having a simple conversation with the person next to you could be the difference between you getting your first job in UX UI and you continuing in the industry that you are in. Or it could be the difference between you getting a word of encouragement that just helps you keep going when you're just about to quit. Or it could be the piece of advice that you've been looking for that you've struggled to find online. It just could be whatever it could be, and you won't know until you do it. Okay, so that would be my piece of advice as well for that. Is there anything else that I would say? Yeah, I think that would be it. Just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. Make sure you've got the right reasonings and all the research there prepared for you, and be part of communities. And yeah. Keep the hope alive, guys. You can do it. Okay, if I can get into this industry, so can you. So keep the hope alive. So the next question is, how was my experience when I started a boot camp? So if you know, or if you don't know, now you know. I actually got into UX UI via boot camp. So when I was initially doing my research, I was aware of the different routes that there were to becoming a UX UI designer, and for me personally, I felt like the route of a boot camp was the best route for me, simply because I knew that I needed something that was going to keep me accountable, something that was going to keep me consistent, and something that I could use as support, I guess. Like I could, speak to my classmates, or I could speak to the tutor, or I could speak to the people, the alumni, for example. Like I felt like those were things that I kind of needed to be able to keep consistent in my journey, basically, because I knew that if it was left down to me, I am a chronic procrastinator, and I just felt like it would just never happen, unfortunately. And so that's why I was just really kind of like, I was really convinced that a boot camp was the only route for me. So yeah, that's the reason why I chose a boot camp. But any advice or my experience, with starting a boot camp, my experience, I can't lie, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend. But yeah, I genuinely felt like I needed a boot camp. Like I said, for all the reasons that I've mentioned. But my bootcamp experience was amazing, because from the first moment that I kind of like made a connection, or that I, contacted, I guess you could say, I was looking for the right word, but contacted the team over at Love Circular, shout outs to Love Circular, from the very first initial call. And now I don't know if they still do this, like a discovery call, but from the very first call, I was sold. I was 100% sold, because like I said, I'd come across the brand or the company Love Circular because of an influencer, a tech influencer called Mabintu Colley. And she literally was the person that really sold me on being a UX UI designer, and she doesn't even know who I am. So yeah, her advice was, Love Circular, was to use Love Circular. So well, let me do my research, let me see who these people are. And when I used them, or when I got in touch with them, they were still quite new. They hadn't really been around for that long, probably like, I would say like a year or a year and a half max. But it definitely wasn't up to even 2 years. I say definitely, but I haven't checked these facts, so could be wrong, but yeah. What was I saying? Just lost my train of thought. But yeah, I genuinely loved the call that I had with their recruitment manager. I can't remember what his role title was, but he made me feel like this was going to be the best idea in the world. Like, and it wasn't that he was like, yes, come on board. Like, he wasn't really trying to sell it to me. He was just like, I think I was already sold before I had the call, but customer service is very important to me. If you have bad customer service, I will call it a day. Like, I don't need your product. And even if I do, I'm sure there's a market of people that I could choose from, So yeah, I was definitely like, I was definitely excited already, but I really wanted to have a great first impression of them. And I definitely did have a great first impression of them. We discussed kind of like what the bootcamp was about, all of the moving parts, how it worked. And after I left the call very much convinced, very much convinced of the fact that I'm going to be a UX UI designer and this is how I'm going to do it. But also very like comfortable. I felt like, yeah, it's a great idea. Like, I felt very secure secure in my decision, and nobody and nothing was going to change that for me personally. I was ready. Like, if someone was ready to hire me the next day, I would have been ready to be hired the next day, honestly. That's how buzzing I was. So shout outs to that person. So yeah, after that call, I signed on for the next cohort, because they do it in cohorts, like in like class groups. And you could sign on to the class group that is coming up. And I think at that time it was also like 3 months, a 3-month span. So I signed up to the next one. No, actually, I put together a PowerPoint presentation. I've said this story already. Put together a PowerPoint presentation. I went downstairs and I got my parents together. I said, guys, I need a minute. Let me tell you about something that I've just come across that I think will be very interesting. And I need you guys to be on board, to get on board with this. And they definitely did. Shout outs to my parents. But yeah, I did the presentation for my parents, obviously because I was a student, was kind of working, but I'd only just started freelancing, so I couldn't really rely on that to get me through. And I just graduated from university, so I just graduated from student life, and I don't think I need to explain to you guys what that looks like or what that means. So yeah, like I needed their financial support. And they were very much, you know, ready and willing. They were like, if you're serious, then we're serious. And I'm a serious gal. Like, if I want to book a holiday, just going off topic for a second, if I really want to book a holiday with a group of people, are we booking it now? Because if we're not booking it now, then I don't see how this holiday is ever going to go forward. Like, I'm always just ready to book it now, so that, you know, there's no chance for anybody to flake out or anything. But I digress. So literally did that presentation, they were on board, signed up, and all of a sudden it was the first class, my first lesson. And child, it was tough. Like, I remember the first few lessons, I was like, I don't think I have what it takes, because literally I think after even was it the first class or the first few classes, that I was given homework, and the homework was to design a page. And like, the homework would always be design related. And so the designs that I came up with, I was just like, this is horrendous. Like, it was my first time being introduced to Figma. And so prior to this, I didn't actually know anything about Figma. And so I was definitely very new to using it, and you could tell. And so I was just, I was all over the place. I've posted the first designs I've ever designed on my page, the Perceptionist Studio, on that Instagram page. You could definitely find it there. I'll probably post it again after this episode drops, just so you guys can kind of see like how terrible my designs were, and hopefully extend grace to yourselves, because honestly, like, I started from the absolute bottom and now I'm here. But I genuinely felt like my designs were awful, especially compared to the people in my class. Like, my classmates were coming up with some nice real nice designs, and I said, am I really cut out for this? Am I really cut out for this life? Because I just wasn't sure that it was going to be for me anymore, just because of the simple fact that I was not, designing anything that was close to the caliber of work that I was seeing in the industry and in my class. And so I think at first I had a lot of doubt and fear. I wouldn't say doubt, because like, I still really wanted to be a UX UI designer. I just didn't know if I had what I needed to get there. I didn't know if I had what it took. And I just felt like, well, if I don't have what it takes, then somebody tell me now so that I can go about my business and stop wasting my time. But I really wanted to persevere and get through and just, make my dream come true, I guess. But after that, like, little hurdle, especially because, like, one thing that, especially the founder, shout outs to you, but the instructor as well, was very, very clear about: don't compare your work to others. That doesn't just mean the people around you, but what you see online. Like, things like Dribble will show you the most abstract, beautiful, clean designs, and you will look at that and think, what? Even if I had 10 years to design that, I don't think I could do it. And it's just really, you know, it makes it really hard to keep going when you see stuff like that and you compare it to your work. But comparison is the thief of joy, as we all know. And I just want to encourage people who are in that phase or in that stage of like, I don't really like my work, I don't really think I have what it takes, I don't really think that, you know, I could be a good designer. Guys, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you really need to extend grace to yourselves when it comes to learning new skills, because at the end of the day, it's new to you. And even if you're a year or two in, it's still new to you, still fresh to you. You haven't been on this your whole life. And, you know, there's always opportunity to improve in this type of industry. There's always opportunity to grow and become a better designer. So, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself, guys. Honestly, it is not easy. So, yeah. I would definitely say that my experience was good, apart from the first little hurdle. After that, yeah, I was loving it. Like, I was loving the topics. Every week we even had a topic on accessibility where we learned about the CAG guidelines, and that was so exciting. We had a topic on psychology. I just loved the topics, and I felt like it just kind of made the whole thing even realer to me. So yeah, I was very happy to do a boot camp, and I would always recommend a boot camp to people who, first of all, have a short time frame, but also are trying to like get in today. Like, if you're serious, if you're ready, and if you have the funds to commit to this, then definitely go all in on this. Bet on yourself for once, and believe in yourself and the fact that you can actually do this.